Hello everyone, I am very happy to have with me a proud Damsonian, Dr.Anubha Dev, and she has done amazingly well in all the central institutes this mid-year 2018.
Thank you,
She's
ma'am.
scored latest rank 1 institute in JIPMER May 2018. She secured a rank 4 in PGI and a rank 15 in AIIMS. So heartiest congrats Anubha. That's
Thank
like
you
a
so
grand
much.
introduction.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And you deserve all that introduction because a lot of hard work has gone into it. How do you feel about it, Anubha?
I'm a little overwhelmed. Sometimes I frankly felt that I would not be able to do it, but then with the support of my teachers and support of DAMS, the entire DAMS family, I could do it. And right now, I feel really happy, really proud, and really grateful. It's a mix of emotions.
That
right
is
now.
so sweet of you. I can totally understand because these ranks are, they just show your dedication and the amount of hard work that you have done to get here. So, and that's why we are here as well. We want your juniors and other people who are listening to you to sort of relate and find out that what one needs to do to get these wonderful ranks and be an achiever like you.
Sure.
So Anubha has been a foundation course student with us and she followed it up with the test series. So Anubha, you what do you think is the role of making good notes and compiling your theory at one place for these kind of exams?
The thing is, when I had done foundation course that time, I was in third year, so I wasn't really focused on the PG entrance examinations.
Right.
But I had the notes. I had compiled all the material throughout my MBBS, and now when I suddenly felt that I'm targeting May exam, I had all the material ready with me. So now I had to follow it up with the test series. I like every Sunday I would give the test, and before that one week I would just read up all the materials. Just because I'd collected all the material and I had everything ready, I was able to do it in such a short time.
Wonderful. Also, now let's just go a little elaborate so that the students can take the strategies and tips from you.
Yeah.
So now, once you have your notes ready and you are following it up with a test and discussion or a test and series pattern, I want to know from you the 1 week that you have before the test, what was your way of going or approaching the subject?
I mostly focused on, first of all, I would focus on the basics of each chapter, like the basic concepts, the introduction part, and once you have read a topic during MBBS, you get to know what the basic parts are, and focus on the high yield parts, because I had a very small amount of time, so I could not go into the very things that would not be like asked most likely
unusual things.
Yeah.
And did you rely on your notes for this kind of study?
Yeah, I would actually like to do an integrated study. Like if I'm doing path, I'm reading, suppose for example I'm reading SLE, I would like follow it up with the medicine part of SLE also. So since I would not get time later again to do that part in medicine.
All right.
So that whole thing I would finish it off at a stretch.
All right.
So that would like help me a lot.
But doing it that way, I understand integrated was what your approach, but doing it that way, were you able to clear the subject in 1 week and then attempt the test? You ensured that you did that.
I ensured that because my time was very limited. So I said like today I'll complete these chapters and tomorrow I'm going to complete these chapters.
All right, so let's take it a little slow because this is like a very wise piece of advice. She's been repeatedly saying that I had less time, which I think each one of us has because it's not a 5-year plan, and especially when you want to clear it in the central institutes, you want to give it your best, and then sometimes people will feel that you have to do a lot of material, accumulate it and then do it, but I think what you are trying to say is you sort of relied on your notes and did them repeatedly.
Yeah, definitely revision is one more thing that was very important. Like I had kept 3 months for just going through my notes once, and the next 1 month was only for questions and revising the notes that I already had again and again. And during each of the test series also, I used to like note down the points that was not there in my notes previously, or stuff that I was not very confident about, or which I forget very frequently, maybe very volatile stuff.
Right. So you used to highlight the volatile areas as well as the weak areas and some new updated stuff as well, because yes, medical science keeps evolving.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and last 1 month, I just focused on those stuff, and I kept revising that again and again, and like
Okay.
even the day before the exam I was reading just those notes.
Wonderful, right? And now coming to the approach of the test paper. So, how did you give the test paper? Did you give it like a test, or did you just see the questions and read the answers, or what was your plan?
No, my approach was like if I'm giving it as a test, I have to like totally recreate the test environment.
Okay,
So
okay.
I used to like I used to do till Saturday or Friday. I used to be doing the subject one day or 1.5 days. I used to keep for revision, and then Sunday I would like with a fresh mind after I finish the revision. I would sit, time myself for 2 hours or 3 hours, and then sit in front of the computer, close the door, and like recreate the environment.
All right. Do it really like a test scenario.
Yeah. So
Right.
that way it helped me like put me in the zone for the actual examination.
Absolutely, absolutely. And since you were using the online tests, what quality do you think were the online tests? Did they help you in giving the recent pattern, and what kind of questions do you expect in the exams?
Yeah, I think the test series were very well crafted because it
Okay.
had frequently asked questions. It had the basics, questions that had been previously asked, and it also
Yes.
had some little high level stuff that
Okay.
probably I didn't know.
Yeah.
So those were like, okay, this is new. Let
Yes.
me add them to the notes.
Yeah.
Like so, I think it was a well balanced, and it was a little level was a little higher than the actual test, so that
Right.
we strive.
Don't get
for,
overconfident
Yeah, we
and-
strive for a little more.
That's wonderful. And also, Anubha, I want to know from you that since you have been talking about a time constraint and a vast number of subjects,
Yeah.
which is like 19, how did you use these things to plan what you're going to revise later?
I revised it in the order of what I like in the order in which I had started reading.
Okay.
So I had started with the short subjects. So I
All
revised
right.
the short subjects first, and then I started with the first year subjects second. I read it in this order. So
Okay.
first year, then second year subjects, then third year, and then final year.
All right. And also, I want to know when you are doing the revision part, do you again go from the first page to the nth page, or were there some selected areas that you would focus for revision?
No, when I'm revising, like if I'm going through the page, I get to know what the parts that I've forgotten, and I'm certain areas that I'm confident about, that I remember this, so I don't need to go through it again and again.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, this I've forgotten, I will revise that, or this is very high yield, I'll revise that, and I'll
Precisely. So
yeah,
this is
leave the
very
rest.
important, because revision is revision. It is not rereading the entire thing like you're reading it in the first go.
Yeah.
It has to be done in a shorter time as compared to the first reading, and it has to be selective as well to ensure that you are going to read those things which are more likely to come in the exams.
Yes, definitely,
Yes?
definitely, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. And Anubha, since you've done Bache well in all the exams, right? A lot of people tell you the preparation is different if you're going for AIIMS, it is different if you're going for PGI, it is different if you're doing for JIPMER. Since you are the one who's sort of done well in all of them, and I really want to know that from you. Is this true, or?
There'll be some fine differences between the individual exams, obviously, but the core, the theory, the basic, the concepts that you read is the same. It's the same
Exactly.
medicine, medical science that you're reading.
Right.
So if that is clear, you just need to add, maybe for AIIMS it is image-based questions and a little more, little higher and stuff. For PGI it will be the pattern of the question paper.
Exactly.
For JIPMER it's a little rarer stuff.
Yeah.
But otherwise the basic part is the same. So if that is clear, then
And I think since you've done well, it means that you were very good in your basic stuff, because I think that's where most of the people are fighting. The unusual things would be unusual for everyone,
Yeah.
and it is they are not rank deciders.
Yeah.
And since you've achieved rank 1, I am quite sure that it was more of these common things which people tend to give less weightage to, that you
Yes,
were very,
definitely.
very perfect at.
Yeah, like because the JIPMER paper, they had a lot of rare things. So when I saw the paper, I was like, okay, I will not focus on these. I will focus on the topics that I'm confident about
Very
and do
important.
those correctly.
Excellent. And sometimes what happens is, if you are not trained that way, then you will get scared in the paper and you lose on the things that you already know as well.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
very important to understand that unusual things are not rank deciders.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And for that, I think you need to repeatedly give tests and mock tests. So it'll, however difficult the paper it is, it'll teach you to be calm and just answer what you know correctly.
Right, that's so true. Wonderful. And Anubha, I want to know from you, did you use the other DAMS resources, for example, the Facebook Club or the e-medicos or the GT videos, and what are your inputs on that?
I think I practically use like all the social media and technological advances that DAMS has brought in. I was very regular on Facebook Club, and I think the other students also helped me a lot by answering my queries when the faculty could not. And like e-medicos also, I was a regular watcher of the EQ series
that we have every Wednesday.
Yeah, the VBT and the psychiatry discussion, or whatever videos were put. And I also used to go through the DAMS cloud that was there, that had a lot of images and flashcards, which helped me a lot in the final revision.
And I think because those are very high yielding, because they've been made in the form of the pattern of the exams and what is likely to be asked. So it's good to look up into those things and sort of do the high yielding things.
Yeah, it gives an extra edge for the...
Right. And did you attend any of the special sessions that we did for AIIMS or PGI?
No, ma'am, I didn't have the opportunity.
Okay, anyways, but you've still done well, so that's great. And once you are talking about the e-medicos app, we had also uploaded the last year's papers, and did you use those?
Yeah, I used those because the last year's pattern, they keep on repeating those. They are very high yield stuff, so I used to go through them to see what are the recent trends and the recent updates and all. And it used to help me keep me in the loop.
Right.
Since there was a time crunch, so I had to know the high yield and the recently asked questions, and e-medicos helped me a lot in that.
Great. And Anubha, now if I come on to the exam day itself, what is your approach, or what was your approach for all these exams? Because I believe those 3 hours are also very crucial in determining where you're going to stand. You've done really well. So how do you keep your calm, and how do you approach the paper, and do you go all out, or are you a little too defensive in the paper? What was your pattern?
What I do was, obviously the day before the exam, I'm trying not to revise too much. Then I go with the calm mind. I'll be like, okay, the first question for me is always difficult, because I'm like suddenly taken aback. Okay, this is difficult, but I try not to get scared. And slowly I start attempting, and slowly things start coming back to me.
Right.
And then in the initial round, I obviously have to be very fast because the time is very limited.
Yes.
So initially, if I find a few questions difficult, I'll leave them. Like, I'll get back to them later and do all the easy ones fast.
Okay.
And even later, if I find that I'm not very sure, I don't want to get a negative mark, I just leave that question. But in AIIMS, I made sure I attempted around 185 questions to be on the safe side. And in PGI, the strategy is a little different.
Yes.
Because
I think PGI, the only difference is how you attempt the paper. Otherwise, everything is quite similar. But because you have to be fast. There is always a time crunch in PGI, and same is true for JIPMER. A lot of times JIPMER goes very clinical and they're long questions. This time there weren't. But yes, so the time management is important. And so does giving tests regularly take care of this time management part as well?
Yeah, because when you give tests, it becomes like answering the questions fast, and in a go, it becomes like a reflex.
Right.
Like, you don't have to think, like, okay, if you know this, you know that you're going to mark it correct. And it just becomes physiological at a point when you've given a lot of mock tests and mock exams. So you don't panic even when you see a difficult question. You're like, okay, we'll think about it later.
Yeah, right. And did the GT videos therefore help you on how to approach the question, sometimes the unusual ones as well?
Yeah, it definitely helped. Like, GT videos they gave, and when in the GT videos, not just the answer was discussed, they like the surrounding topics and what all questions can be asked from the topic,
and the approach on how to go about the question,
the differential diagnosis and the treatment management part, everything was discussed. It was very helpful.
Great. And finally, Anubha, we would definitely want to know, say 15 days before the exam, or a week before the exam, what were you revising?
As in which subjects?
Whatever. I mean, how did you plan on what are you going to revise close to the exam?
Again, the note that very high yield notes that I have made. That stuff.
So I think that has been the basic, and you always went back to it.
Yeah, I always went back to it, and then previous year questions I'll keep doing a few days, few weeks before.
Okay.
So and apart from that, the last 1 or 2 weeks before the exam, I was doing the DAMS cloud flashcards.
Okay.
A few days continuously I was just doing that.
Right.
Because they helped me revise also. They gave me new updates. They kept me fresh for the exam. So
right, very great. And also, Anubha, I want to know, since the journey is a little tough because it's very competitive, how important it is to have a positive frame of mind and therefore keep pushing yourself now and then.
Yeah, that is very important because it's very easy to get disheartened. Like you might not fare well in one exam and then you'll feel, okay, I have not prepared well, I'm not good enough.
Right.
So it's always important to keep your final goal in mind. You have to, and also have faith in yourself. And for that, I think it's important to develop a good support system around you.
Yeah.
Seek help from your teachers, seek help from your parents and your friends. Always
That's
talk
true.
to them, keep them in the loop, what is happening and where you're going wrong. And I think the ultimate gist is not to lose faith in yourself and always trust whatever you've read, and
Right.
things will finally work out.
Great. And finally, because the students are always in this dilemma, do you think there is a lot of role of guidebooks in the preparation?
No, not really, because the guidebooks, I think DAMS has always been inculcating this in me, that they give a lot of wrong stuff. And even though everybody has purchased guidebooks,
Yes.
so even when I'm seeing that I'm not very sure, I used to like ignore it.
Yeah.
Like because but then students who follow guidebooks books very blindly will result. Finally, it will lead to a wrong answer in the examination.
Because there's a lot of confusion on what
Yeah.
to. And close to the exam, you don't want to enter into a
Yeah,
confusion.
yeah.
You
So
want
it's-
to be content with what you already know.
Exactly.
Have faith on it and go with
Yeah,
it.
so whatever notes you've made and whatever DAMS has already taught, just stick to that instead of going for multiple guidebooks and just confusing yourself before the exam.
And although you have again insisted, and just towards the end, so that I wind it up, the revision is, I think, a very key part. And how would you say that revising it again and again is more important than collecting more and more?
What happens is when you collect more and more, you will forget whatever you have done in the beginning, and you won't even remember the new knowledge that you have gained.
Yes.
So ultimately, you're nowhere. You're back to square one. You don't know
That's
anything.
true.
So, but when you revise and revise, you're revising all the high yield stuff. Your basics are becoming clear. Whatever you have read becomes more and more consolidated in your mind. So when questions comes from there'll always be questions on the basics and the high yield stuff and
Yes.
whatever concepts are already there. So it's always important you just go back and revise all the important stuff, rather than just acquiring rare syndromes and rare signs. They won't really help.
That's so true. So I think she's very well put it up into one thing, and given you the details of how she has done it, and it has surely worked for her. And I'm sure the more concise you are, the more focused you are, it is going to work for everyone.
Definitely.
So thank you so much, Anubha, for
Thank
coming
you.
here
My
and
pleasure.
being, helping out your juniors who are more than keen in listening to how toppers have done it.
My
So
pleasure.
congratulations once
Thank you,
again,
ma'am.
and may God keep blessing you with lots and lots of success in future as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.